right. Our intro gets you pumped up, ready to go.
Friday intro. You said it last week too. That's like straight club status. Let's get it pumped. Damn. All right.
That's me hitting the Jersey Shore back in the day.
Yeah, okay. I could. Yeah, we know.
All right. That's why I live close to it, so I could at least get the vibes. I can't go in there anymore. I got the vibes. We have a great guest on today, Coach Wilbur Valdez, head coach of Union City. He's put back to back, I believe, phenomenal seasons together. State championship seasons. I'm going to ask this question too. I think it was the first state championships for Union City, maybe in the history of the school, or was there one back in the day long before? No, in the history of the school, I'm correct. So the history of the school. This program is a powerhouse program in the state of New Jersey. It's one of the most consistent programs in the state of New Jersey, in the public school area. And I'm trying, and Derek, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to think about in North Jersey. There are really two public schools that I think of that have had the most success consistently in, I would say, the last, 5 or 6 years, and that would be Union City and Old Japan. I think those are the two in my mind that have had the most consistency of high level of success over these basically half decade, maybe almost a full decade if I really looked at the record. But
when you're talking bigger size schools too, right? You're talking Group 5, Group 4 programs in the state of New Jersey. Group 5, Group 4, 3,
yeah,
right? But Group 5. You're right, because how they do it in New Jersey, for people that don't know, is, it's group size. Group 5 is the largest. 4, 3, 2, 1 kind of works its way back down. And in recent years, the playoff structure has changed a little bit, where rather than it's broken up into sectional champs, now that we go one game further, and you have true group champs. So throughout the state, you'll have a true Group 1 champ, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the 2 private schools. But coaches really put something together over there, and been highly successful with it. So
it's great having you on, Coach.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
In addition to Coach's success on the field, he is super active with coaches around the state, with the NJFCA, the New Jersey Minority Coach Association. He's really, really important in the area of continuing to move everything forward for all coaches. So not just, really benefiting obviously himself and his program, but he's benefiting other coaches and helping them to continue to succeed. So it's really great to have him on. Congratulations on all your success, Coach.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
So talk a little bit about this past season in particular, how the season went. And before I let you talk about it, sadly, one of your former assistants who was with you was a long time, obviously a friend of yours, a friend of mine, friend of Derek's, Lamar McKnight, absolute tragedy. That happened there. I'm sure it was like, I can only imagine in Union City because I saw some of the pictures of things and stuff. But we miss Lamar. As much as we miss him, obviously him even more than we do, and it's such a sad thing when I heard that. So, I just wanted to, make sure we pay honor to Lamar, and mention him here because, he was part of, a lot of this stuff as an assistant that you guys are doing. So, but anyway, I just wanted to state that. Talk about the season, talk about everything that transpired. You guys had a great year. It's unbelievable what you're doing, Coach.
Thank you. First of all, about Lamar, Lamar was a breath of fresh air, positive attitude, great football guy, becoming a football junkie. Our kids loved him. He brought positive energy to practice, made all the kids believe in themselves. He's going to be missed. Lamar was on his way to being a really good head football coach. We would talk all the time, and he was telling me he was feeling my pain as far as how hard this head coaching thing.
He finally got it, He pushed all those years to be it, and then he finally got it, So
the assistant coach, he used to always tell me to cheer up and just not worry and all that stuff. And then he started to see, Will, I know what you mean, and so, but as being his mentor, I was certainly proud of him. What an awesome kid, and he's going to be a great loss to everybody, to Hudson Catholic, to Union City, to all the quarterback guys he was training. Lamar was a special person, along with his brother Darryl, Brad Cunningham, and people that were lost in that tragedy. So, may they rest in peace, and I guess that's life, right? But
yep.
As far as our 2020, we had a good feeling about it coming in. Though we graduated a big class that won at Phillipsburg in 2023 for the North 1 title. We lost the entire secondary. We lost 2 out of the 3 backers. We lost an all-state defensive end. So, we still felt good about what we had returning. And we always do a good job of projecting where guys are going to be. And we're kind of in a similar situation this year because of another big graduating class where we have to build them up, but them being part of this type of program where guys you rarely see it, but they sit around and wait for their turn. They compete along the way and they learn along the way. So as far as this season, I had a good feeling. We were returning Mark Boyd, who was one of the leading rushers in the state, had an amazing season. We were replacing a quarterback, which is not easy to do. And we had some major, leadership losses as Denzel Shades, Elijah Rose, Tyler Koffa, Anthony Crawford, all those guys graduating was a challenge. But there were guys that were ready to step in. Excuse the bell.
Life of an administrator, baby.
Yeah, right. No, but everything went as planned as far as the off-season conditioning to the weightlifting, to guys emerging into their proper new roles of leaders and starters, and it just it sounds cliche, but it was just us doing what we do, and we continued to do it to the best of our ability. We got up and we stayed consistent. Like Dave said, that's part of why we're consistent on the field, is because everything that we do has that type of consistency. So we had a good feeling from the strength training to the spring conditioning. Ironically, then when we got into 7-on-7 season, that's what we don't do. So we went 0-7. We went on our little 10-day break that the state makes us go on, and we knew, like I told him, I said, we don't play in t-shirt and shorts. A bunch of 7 champions, we're going to blow them out when we play football. So we went 0-7 during 7-on-7 season, came back, got to doing what we do. And guys stepped up. Guys like Mark Boyd, Jazeer Aurilis, Omar Tillman, Reynaldo Mercedes, all of those guys were coming back, and they had, phenomenal years. The season started with St. Peter's Prep, which was a challenge, and it was exactly the way we wanted it to be. 13-6 at the half. We dropped a touchdown pass to tie it at the half, and then the wheels kind of came off in the third quarter, and some guys, we had some injuries, we had some cramping issues, and everything just fell apart. But we learned a lot from that game. We learned what top tier football is, and and that carried us for the rest of the season, and we pulled off 11 straight wins and went as far as to MetLife to challenge Toms River North for the whole shebang.
It's and you guys, it was an incredible run, to that point, and Toms River North was has been a couple of phenomenal programs for the last couple of years. But it was a phenomenal situation where you guys continue to really dominate, and running the ball is the hallmark of what you guys do. Are you still running the Wing-T style offense? Yes. Hoboken style Wing-T.
Coach is holding on to those fullback days. I love it.
I think it's amazing, and the reason why I bring it up is because there's a lot of I mean, nowadays there's a million different offenses that people are running, but you've been able to succeed long term with the Wing-T tried and true, which I have to say, like, even guys that were Wing-T guys haven't stuck as well as you have to it. You know what I mean? A lot of those guys have even moved away from it. What I really am curious, what do you think has really enabled your guys to succeed there, where a lot of other guys have, I would say the best way to put it is they kind of like bastardized it in the sense that they're still running Wing-T principles, but they're in, gun all the time or stuff like that. Talk about, how you guys been able to really do that very well.
Well, one of the things I learned early on in my coaching career is to coach to your strengths and not to be quote unquote trendy. So, if it's working, if it's not broken, why fix it? And I think this offense speaks to the personality, to the character of our community, of our kids, of our style of kids. We have tough, hard-nosed, inner-city kids who, where a running back doesn't mind blocking on an ISO block. They block for each other, so that's unselfishness is there. And then we have some talented kids with some speed, where that misdirection and that perimeter run mixed with the inside running, and then sometimes you don't have the biggest offensive linemen, but they're tough. And in the Delaware Wing-T, you have your angle blocks where you have your gap down backer and angles and down blocks, and you don't necessarily need to be 6'5", 300 pounds. So you take all of those components, and it's every reason to run our offense. More now that it's rarely seen by any of these defensive coordinators. So, I've been coaching for 25 years, 20 years as a head coach. And, I coached with and against some quote unquote old school guys who knew how to defend the Wing-T. Now you have guys who, they pride themselves in that 7-on-7 world and defending the spread, and either Wing-T, it's almost like Chinese to them,
No, you're right.
I've actually spoken to some guys where, I'm like, well, I'm not going to tell you, but, so they're like, hey, this and what's that? But it's hard to defend if you don't see it, if you don't come from it. You don't see it in the NFL. You don't see it in college. You don't have, you don't sit at a bar with your buddy when you having football talk and talk Wing-T, because you can't, because you don't know it. So, I guess I'm a generation ahead, because, the people that I would sit around and talk about Wing-T football was, Coach Ascalese at North Bergen, obviously Ed Stinson, who I coached with and played for. Those were the people that I was having Wing-T talk with. So you rarely can even have a Wing-T conversation with anybody. So imagine having to put together stop, trap, belly, counter, sweep, waggle, and then, as opposed to inside zone, outside zone, bubble, 4 wide, trip, 3x1, like that stuff is it's become 101. Like if you're a beginner coach, you know how to defend 2x2, 3x1, inside zone, outside zone, slant, arrow, 4 vertical, whatever it may be. But how many people sit around and talk, all right, how do I stop sweep counter? How do I stop? All right, now if you stop sweep counter, now that means that you're not getting out to the sweep. So now how do I stop sweep if I'm worried about the sweep counter? How do I get my backer out of there for sweep? And then it might be trapped. And then, so it's just so much to it. that maybe Wing-T guys know how to defend it, but it's hard to defend.
I also think, Coach, it goes back to and Dave, we've talked about this numerous times, right? Just how the game has evolved away from that type and that style of football, that downhill, smash mouth, in your face, type of physicality or physical football, where guys, and like I said, Dave and I have talked about this numerous times. Like you look at the higher levels, they're recruiting defenses now to stop, spread 2x2. RPO game. They're recruiting guys to do that defensively. And then with the rules and how things are in high school football, the amount of contact, the ability to tackle, that in the box type of physical play that the Wing-T isn't what kids know nowadays. It's not. It's that flag world. It's that 7-on-7 world like we talk about it. So in just in those terms, like, I've been really an advocate to that's kind of how things have evolved within the game of football itself. And you saw a little bit of it last year with Michigan in how they would come out, right, and just smash mouth football, downhill, in your face, and nobody knew how to stop it. And even if they did, just the physicality level, like players weren't prepared for it. So I think that adds a little bit to the whole thing in general too.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt. And look, you go and say someone gap down backer, like they have no idea what you're talking about. Like, literally, I mean, so and including line coaches, by the way, like they don't understand a lot of the leverage points of the down block and the pulling aspects of the Wing-T and buck sweep and the principles of like the intricacies and the simplicity at the same time of it. They just don't understand it. And so defensive coordinators, especially younger guys, like what if a lot of younger guys get their first coordinator job as is usually defensive coordinator, because a lot of times in high school head coaches are running the offense for the most part. And those guys are young nowadays, do not see the Wing-T, didn't even play against it very much, right? I remember when I first started coaching, that was one of the beauties of that of that time period, was like in the early 2000s, was we ran at Saddlebrook, we ran literally midline triple option, Navy triple option, but we would play Waldwick, which had which ran true Wing-T. Greg Grudzis, I think it was. He's from East Hanover originally, and then he had that long run of Waldwick Midland Park, where he was very successful. And when I was at Powell Park, we played him. Like, these guys were true Wing-Ts, and there was a bunch of guys that were running the Wing-T. You had to know how to stop it, otherwise you were going to look stupid as a coach, because an offense that, if you're sitting in the stands, with the parents are sitting in the stands, and all the dads and that don't know anything about football, that think they know about football, are like, oh, they're just running downhill at you, and they don't really understand all the different things that come off of each play, right? And trap, buck sweep, belly keep, waggle. It's unbelievable how each thing sequentially works with each other. That's the thing that makes the Wing-T so unique. Talk about the you don't talk about how you call it, but talk about what makes the sequencing of the Wing-T so unique from an offensive standpoint that makes it so hard to stop.
Well, again, you have to have a feel for the offense. You have to have a feel for your personnel, and obviously what the defense is giving you. You may be able to take away a play or a concept because of what you do defensively, but usually, because like you said, everything kind of counters, another play. That if you stop one thing, you're going to give up something else. So that's one of the things we try to stay in a rhythm where we'll continue to take what you're giving us. You know, a lot of what I say, and I even was watching last night, and and yes, it's college and it's big time college, and you even see it in the pros where something's working, and an offensive play caller just feels like, well, I just have to do something to show you that I know something else. You know, I've ran the same play all the way down the field to the same side. Like if it's there, it's there. Sometimes it may be by alignment. Sometimes it may just be that, you're better than them at that position or at that point of attack. And, like you said, the dads in the stands that they might be yelling, oh, not that. But, the misdirection, the different blocking angles, different blocking concepts and schemes, the misreads, Dave and I, three of us, I believe, played linebacker. You know how hard it is to have one key. When you have to key one person, now there's 7 different things moving in different directions. So again, it's all based on what the defense is showing you and what you practiced that week, and that's the beauty of the Wing-T is that we drill certain things and we constantly do those things, so sweep, trap, waggle drill, it happens every Monday and Wednesday. Our belly half line drill. So everything that we're running, yeah, we might put a different formation, add some motions, and maybe some shifts, pre-snap shifts. But at the end of the day, it's our bread and butter, and our kids are comfortable executing that.
Well, that's exactly it. You're trying to get backers and defensive players, defensive backs to peek into the backfield to try to guess where the play is coming, and that's when they're going to fail because if they're not reading their keys up front, they have no chance, and that's it's so interesting. Talk about so I love your off-season program.
What is the toughest part, Dave?
Yeah,
that you're talking. That is the toughest part. Getting those guys off the ball, those linebackers and safeties, like where their eyes need to go in order to, And look, growing up Butler, like we played Montville every year. Jerry Gallagher, like ultimate Wing-T guy. You know what I'm saying? Like that stuff. That was the hardest part as a secondary player. Was no, your eyes need to be here and stay here. And then look, even when you're keyed on that and you're kind of dialed into it, there's still always that one that breaks a tendency, and now you're out and doing something else. So that aspect of that offense is extremely difficult for a defensive guy, especially younger guys who really aren't as disciplined to know where their eyes need to be, right? Especially when their DC doesn't know where their eyes need to be.
That's the best part.
Yeah, well, listen, you can utilize the Wing-T. So someone has, a lot of times the middle linebackers are their best tacklers on teams' defenses, and utilizing that tight end and wing to come down on that middle linebacker when he's trying to get over the top. Now all of a sudden you run trap back underneath him, so he doesn't know what's going on because he's not expecting a tight end to come and close on him. And that's the beauty of the different scheme things you can do with the Wing-T to take away the best player. I remember when I had Steve Boharness and the whole game he kept coming. We worked the keys and we'd get over top of it. He's like, they keep cutting me off. The tight end keeps cutting me off the whole entire time. He's trying to go underneath it. He's trying to go over the top of it. And then they run trap. And this is, a great athlete who played in the NFL for a little while. And he was like, it was driving him crazy, and especially in high school where a lot of good players like linebackers played both sides of the ball. So they play both sides of the ball. One of the beauties of the Wing-T is, in my opinion, is the guy's a defensive player and they're struggling as a linebacker. Usually one of your toughest guys, your linebacker, your interior guys, and they're struggling all game on defense. And now when they come over on offense, it's still in their head. So they're still thinking about it. So they're not as effective when they come over on offense because those guys are usually your best players. And now what's their normal situation where they're beating up on people, they're getting beat up on sometimes by a guy nowhere near as big as them. You know what I mean? And they can't, it's hard for the kids to really understand. I think that's what, another one of the beauties. I think your off season too is the key, right? It's that attitude that we're going to run the ball. Talk about the importance of your off season program and how that continues to build.
I'm sorry. Hold on one second.
I'll tell you what, Dave, like when you're talking about that, and we've referenced that before about the whole, like when you're playing both ways and like it's still on your mind and all those kind of things, like that 100% plays a factor into now what you're trying to do. You know what I mean? Like if you don't make that play and you've constantly made that play and now all of a sudden you aren't, and you can't figure out why you're not making that play, or why there's a guy coming this way and hitting you on this side, and then the next play somebody else coming from this way, and then you don't have the time to go to the sideline and where your coach is like, hey, this is what's going on, if he even knows that, right? Like if he can even relay that information. But now you're already going to the other side of the ball. Now all of a sudden that easy catch you always make, you won't make that catch because you're worried about all the other stuff.
Yeah, I can imagine it. It's frustrating, especially to a kid. We averaged over 40 points a game in 13 games, and sometimes throwing the ball less than 5 times a game. I don't think we threw more than 70 passes all year in 13 games.
Coach, that's like God, people that they won't understand that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you threw,
and you know what? Some people knock it, and without understanding, the intricacies of football and what the objective of football is, right? It's to move,
spot on.
It's to move the ball up and down the field. It's to win the time of possession. And those this offense is perfect for that, and again,
absolutely,
we don't need to fix it, and I guess a lot of it is to our advantage when it comes to that stuff.
And not to mention, it aids in the fact of, when you're talking about time of possession, right? Now you're controlling the ball, you're controlling the clock. The way teams are built now with the explosives, the big plays, all of those kind of things, those teams now ultimately, you're putting them in a bind because sometimes your best defense is keeping, the best defense is your offense staying on the field longer to not allow those guys to get on the field and have those amount of plays. So to limit possessions for your opponent is a huge advantage of the Wing-T. That's what it does.
That's exactly it. And we would go into games. We had it was explosive on offense. We shut them out. Montclair had some guys on offense. We were able to shut them out.
East Orange,
we shut out. They were the group, they won the other side. So
yeah. Coach, you're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You had 6 shutouts this season. That's a whole, you know what I mean? And that's beyond with teams. I don't think teams understand. You held Northern Highlands to 6 points, right? These are explosive teams that offense is their bread and butter as well. Some of those things, you ripped off that streak too. And I think a lot of the other knock on the Wing-T too is it doesn't put up a lot of points, right? You're winning games with, 21 points, 14 points. Coach, we're talking, that ain't you. 56 points, 42 points, 35, 63, 51, 48, 49, 61 points for 34 points. Coach, you're putting up points in this offense.
Against Passaic Tech, which I think we went back to see when's the last time they gave up that many points, and I think it took us back to 2013 or something. They pride themselves on defense. They always have exceptional defensive football players.
Very good program.
Able to score 34 points. That was in the final.
Yep.
If people are still going to question this offense, then they could stay in the stands and do that. But it works for us. We love it. It's what we do, and we're not going to change it as long as I'm here.
I was starting to ask about the your off-season program and how each year you've continued to evolve it and make it better and better. Talk about what you guys do there from an off-season standpoint.
I'll tell you what is one thing, Dave. And if I'm sure Coach will hop back. Whatever. I know you're good. The thing that I think separates, and it's different in Union City, right? And look, we've had guys on here where the off. Oh, Coach. All right. Good.
Somebody called. Yeah. As far as what Dave just asked, yeah. I mean, I think the key word again is consistency. We actually started our off-season training on Monday. And I was very clear to the guys. There's some new faces, some younger guys, but the standard is the standard. That's actually what the t-shirts say, along with some, phrase of the day on the back of the shirts.
Yep.
But we're gonna do things the way that we do things. And it's their responsibility, the players that is, to meet our standards. And yes, we'll be patient and we'll teach, but we want to see you constantly working, constantly competing against your teammates, against yourself, and you know, be engulfed in that wanting to get better. So that's the first thing, the consistency of the program. From now until April, we'll be in our strength and conditioning phase where we try to get bigger and stronger, and we maximize on the bench, clean, squat, old school lifts. Um, then later on in the spring, we get into some speed work and some agility training. And the kids pretty much know clockwork, like what's happening every single day. Monday's an upper body lift, Tuesday's a lower body explosive day, Wednesday's recovery and tutoring program, et cetera, et cetera. Then Thursday we, go back to that. Fridays we come in at 6:30 a.m. We do some agilities and some stations and all that good stuff. And we get another lower body day. Saturdays is position group work in the mornings. Sundays obviously they get to themselves, and then we just repetitively just continue to do that without breaking stride. And before you know it, it's June, and guys got bigger, stronger, faster, and are totally dedicated to winning.
There's no doubt about it. Talk about how the role as administrator helps, hurts, or indifferent to your success as a coach.
Yeah, look, Coach already gave it away with the lean a little bit.
Oh man, I mean, you know what? The world has changed. Everybody sees what's going on. Things are different.
And
Kids
it's
are
such a
different.
big school too, right?
The
Like I
the
just look
yeah
at the numbers. Sorry, I'm just
the
talking to myself, Coach.
yeah
I always get fascinated with the size of Union City. I don't think people understand
Yeah, it's a
how
big
many
school.
kids, how big that building is, man. Like it's big.
Yeah. But as a dean of students, it's a little bit difficult to be both head football coach and disciplinarian of a school when um I think beliefs in this world obviously have changed. Parents parent differently, society accepts certain things that weren't acceptable back in our time or are still not acceptable on a football field. You know what I mean? As far as like, let's say punctuality, right?
It's a great point.
As a football coach, I'm in a position where, and it's the way I've learned since I'm a kid, from Hoboken Pop Warner to the University of Miami. Uh, on time is late, and now society's gotten so lenient that 3 minutes late is okay. So you're dealing with that, imbalance of like what is disciplining. Like I said, I sit at this seat and I call parents to try to correct a behavior. And a lot of the times the parents don't think the behavior was wrong. Or the parent thinks that uh their kid behavior justifies the situation. Uh we grew up where you better not answer an adult back,
Yeah.
and now it's, well, what did the adult say to my kid to make him curse? And I'm like, whoa, what? So that's another reason for our success. I mean, I think we got some guys on the staff that come from old school football, and we refuse to switch to this new uh more liberal type of way of thinking. We're just not going to do it. It doesn't go with football, and you
No.
see it though, and that's where it's tough now, where you got guys like Tariq Hill not putting himself in a game and telling the media he's out, in front of his teammates, just lost, and I'm out. Like, I got nothing to do with that type deal. You got the transfer portal where I'm not happy, I'm leaving. So you mix all that up, and this is affecting high school football. And thank God I'm towards the end of my career where at any point I could say, all right, enough is enough. Kind of
Right.
like, like I see why guys like at the college level, like Nick Saban and let's say the coordinator at Ohio State now, who wanted nothing to do with being a head coach anymore.
Chip Kelly.
Or the basketball
Chip
coach of your
Kelly,
alma mater. Basketball coach.
Miami's head coach. Miami's
Yeah.
basketball coach said, "I'm not doing this anymore."
Mac Brown.
It's weird. Yeah, it's weird. It's different. It's unfortunate. You know what? Because a lot of the things we were teaching in football had nothing to do with football, but was to help these guys advance their life, and that's kind of being stripped away as well. So, but yeah, to Dave's question, it's tough. It's tough, but I learned by 3 o'clock, I take this hat off, and then I go upstairs and I nitpick at little things. Here, I have to kind of understand that some things are what they are. And that's everywhere. That's not just in
It's everywhere.
Union City.
No, it's everywhere, and it's it is a national issue. I mean, maybe issues the wrong word. Yeah, maybe issues the wrong word. You know what I mean? But it is what we're living in now. It is.
No, it's an issue. It's certainly an issue.
It's a highlights culture. It's a highlights culture, right? The culture is we want to see the highlights. We don't want to know what went into making that highlight as spectacular, all the work that went into it. They don't want to understand that. And they see, again, like your example of Tyreek is a great example because so many kids look up to his ability, right? He has a unique ability to do a lot of things athletically that nobody else can do. And then they see him act a certain way. And they think young kids, because they watch only YouTube and highlights, and they see that and they think, okay, that's okay because he's gonna get another contract, right? So
absolutely.
So they think that that can apply to them, and it's a very, very difficult thing. Whereas years ago, you could explain away a lot of that stuff in a sense of saying, hey, like, first of all, there's a right way to act and a wrong way to act, no matter how talented you are. It doesn't matter how talented. So I could point out a person who is the most talented person in the world at a position, and he could act improperly or incorrectly or do things the wrong way, or he could do things the right way. And that's universal, regardless of the level of ability. And in the long run, as far as your life goes, which is the thing that people don't want to talk about anymore, if you learn to do things the right way and be accountable and be a good person, bottom line, right? I mean, to me, like, obviously in my world, I think of it as God would expect you to do, right? So, and it's always harder, obviously, because there's different demands in like public schools and stuff about talking about that. But that's kind of how I think about it. That's because for me, Jesus Christ is my Savior, and I think about those kind of principles, right? And it's really simple to explain too. It's very simple to explain those things. But when you see athletes today, the simple things like getting them to look you in the eye, okay? And I see because I coach young kids because my son's group, right? I see my son. I have to explain it to him. You always look the coach in the eye when they're talking to you, okay? No matter how you feel about the situation, no matter whether you're right or wrong or that's irrelevant. Your eyes are on the coach. And I explain this to young kids I coach all the time. I'm talking. I always use this thing. I use the snap, right? Because young kids, their eyes wander all over the place, and you're bringing them in. They'll still eyes will wander. So I snap, and I'm like, where should your eyes be? If I'm talking, or coach over there is talking, or coach over there is talking to you, your eyes should be on them. How are you going to get the information you need if your eyes are not on them? And that's
I mean,
those are the kind of things that are lost.
It's those little things.
Yeah. And we could probably talk about this for the next 3 hours, and but at the end of the day, we've lost sight of the whole team concept. You know what I mean?
It's
about
gone.
a team. It's not about an individual. Everything has become individualized, and it's it's from the NFL all the way down. I mean, when's the last time you've heard of someone suspended or traded or kicked off a team for, remember, conduct detrimental to the team? Remember, you used to always hear that. There's nothing detrimental now. Nobody cares about anything, being bad for the team, and it's a shame, because that's what athletics is all about. That's what it's supposed to teach. It's supposed to teach that team concept and have people understand that sometimes things are bigger than them. And we're actually applauding selfishness. We're applauding that whole, hey, look at me. And again, you could blame parents, you could blame the coaches who are accepting it, but this thing is taking a wrong turn, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, look, a couple weeks ago, you see an NFL player, right? Wasn't the linebacker for the 49ers literally quit in the third quarter, just walked off the field, said, I'm not playing.
Quitting is normal now. Quitting's become a norm.
So what's interesting about that is, like, I was an NFL agent for 6 years, and it's in your contract that what you talked about, a conduct that's detrimental to the team, it actually can literally void your contract. It's in every contract in the NFL. It's standard language, okay? And you're right. What's interesting is that is so rarely ever enforced.
I don't hear it anymore.
Yeah, it's in the contract still. I mean, but they're the backlash, I guess, that would come on them for utilizing it, but you almost never hear about it used as a reason to either void a contract or cut a guy. Very, very rarely. It would have to be literally an extreme situation where someone committed an actual crime that would be utilized. Right. But it's really not there for just crimes. It's really actually when I was an agent, one of the things they talked about, that the crime thing is obviously an easy one to be able to utilize, because you could point to something that actually happened. But it's really it was really designed because of the fact that somebody could do something that wasn't criminal, that they could still cut you or void your contract for it. But it's almost, you're right, it's almost never used unless there's an actual crime now.
Because it's not important anymore. That it's not team first. So I guess
is there a way to get it back, Coach?
Who you telling? I wish.
Sure, we could have a think tank on that one and bang our head against the wall for a long time, and I don't know if we'd even come up with it. And the other part, football is the ultimate team game, right? I mean, 11 guys got to do their job in order to be successful, and you practice way more than you play games and all those kind of things. And it's also the sport that, like, it ends for everybody at some point, but for majority of people after high school, like, this is it. Like, you only have 4 years of high school football to really invest yourself in this whole thing. And I think we could talk about it for hours about how we learned so much more from the adversity and the tough stuff that we had to go through as football players. The things we learned, right, so much, like, aided us so much more off the field in our lives than it does anything to do with wins and losses or any of those types of things. And I think that it's sad that we've lost that part of it.
I'll give you a theory I have, Coach, and I'm curious your thoughts on this. When we were in school, which was in the 90s, people played sports, but sports wasn't part of growing up per se. I don't know if that makes sense. It wasn't like, I remember a lot of kids who did not, like, do, I don't know, recreation football or soccer or whatever. There's a lot of kids that really didn't, because there was a lot of there wasn't the level of overall wealth. And okay, and I'm not. There's obviously lots of people that are poor, but as far as overall wealth, where people could actually pay to get a trainer or pay, like that wasn't even a thing when I was growing. I mean, literally, I remember, my father telling me, like, you know what to do. Go run the sprints that you need to do. Like, I mean,
Exactly.
I've taught you what to do, so go do it. And that's kind of how it was. Sports wasn't for everyone per se, but in today's culture, like everything's so inclusive based, and I don't think it's a bad thing. Like everybody plays sports. That's great. Literally everybody plays sports, from the kid who is the best athlete to the kid who could barely walk and chew gum. Everybody plays sports. And what I think is very different now than back then, because everybody plays sports, a lot of parents are involved who never had any success in sports at all, or don't really, or in all fairness to them, probably don't even understand sports, right? Their kids playing flag, like they didn't have the opportunity. They didn't play. Maybe they had to go to work or something like that when they were in high school, because I remember I went to high school with a lot of kids who really, honestly, they went to work. Like that's just what they had to do. They had to go get a job, right? Now all the parents kind of protect them from all of that kind of stuff, and they all play sports and they all want to be on a team and all that kind of stuff. And I think a big part of it is there's a lot of kids that are playing sports and parents that are involved that really, honestly, I hate saying this because I see it all, just have absolutely no idea what makes sports teams successful, or even an individual, even an individual successful, right? Like a track athlete, right? They don't have an idea about that. And now there's so many people, most parents I'm around with my 9-year-old, I would say that, like, if I'm one, there's 5 parents that have absolutely no idea to my one of anything. You know what I mean? So do you think that maybe that's a part of like everybody playing sports now culture?
And you see it as well, right, Coach? Because you have a daughter, right? You're a younger daughter. She plays sports, right?
She plays softball,
I know she was involved. She was involved with softball and things like that. So I'm sure you've seen it like from that side. Obviously, Dave, I got to reference Coach because I got a daughter who I got to, she's freaking not even 2 yet, but these are things I'm already concerned with.
Regardless of my sports background, as soon as my daughter's ready to hang it up, she knows she's good. I don't necessarily care. She loves it, and I do love that she's learning so much from sports. The discipline, the teamwork, and all that, the camaraderie with the girls she plays with. So again, sports is a beautiful thing. What I think has happened over the years is, and I'm you can't compare it to what you had going on, Dave, back in the day. The NUC, like that was unique. That was something that you came up with and you did it real. It was real. Like you had Johnny Manziel, you had Adrian Peterson, like you had something legit, which I'm sure, and I know guys who worked for you back then. You sifted through that to make sure that you had a high quality type deal. I know you do well, but if you wanted to, you could probably be a billionaire now, because it's so easy to bamboozle these parents to thinking that their kid is able because they can pay for a camp or pay for a trainer or pay for this. And then now everybody deems themselves an expert. It don't matter if they know the difference between a 3-4 or a 4-3. So everybody's an expert, and the coach doesn't know jack shit. I don't know if I can say shit on the show.
You can say whatever you want.
Everybody's an expert, and the coaches who played and have coached different type of kids, different type of personalities, different type of abilities, we don't know anything.
Correct.
You get you some drills, you put them out there, and everybody's an expert. Everybody knows best. And who's gonna turn a kid away when they're paying $150 a session?
Yep.
I don't care. I don't care if the kid got 2 left feet, can't walk and chew gum, doesn't know the difference between a football and a tennis ball. I don't care. I need $150 times 10 times 10 kids, let's do it. And I think that's part of it too. The fact that,
Yep.
people are capitalizing on making people believe that they have some type of athletic ability or that they belong.
Coach must have got a call, but he's spot on, Dave. Right, and then ultimately, like from that, just to
It was
piggyback.
really simple. Last thing, back in our days, we didn't need a trainer or an expert to tell us whether we should be doing this or not. If you got your ass kicked in the schoolyard, you knew you
Correct.
sucked. If you
Yep.
was the last pick in the schoolyard, you knew you sucked. It don't matter if you had a trainer, two trainers, so that's the difference. And that's why I wanted to make sure I was clear that it's nothing like what Dave had going on back in the day. I don't know if you still do it, Dave, but that was real. And I would talk to people and they would be like, man, Dave will have the top kids in the country all in Texas. He'll have because it was unique. It was something you
I can't
came
even
up
get
with.
them to come anymore. So here's the crazy
Because
part.
it's so much, there's so much imitation out there that they don't know what's real.
That's
So,
correct. That's correct.
you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
now it's like, oh, all right, back in our day, we wanted to wear Nike. And then it was Nike, Nike, Nike. Now some kids are like, nah, I wear this, I wear that. There's a million name brands to wear.
True.
You know what I mean? So, and you're cool if you wear either one of them. So that's the deal now, man. And it's like, yeah, a lot of parents, they figure, they love the glitz and glamour of being a quote unquote athlete or being a successful athlete, posting your kid on Instagram, my baller and all this, that, like, yeah, that looks great.
Yeah.
It looks amazing.
I'll
But
tell you
we
what's
had the reality of getting your ass kicked at 7 years old in gym class. Having somebody
Absolutely.
torch you for 12 points in gym or getting smoked in a relay race. And then that was reality. And it
That
don't
was
matter how much
reality.
you could pay. You couldn't pay yourself out of that ass whooping.
No,
I
you
think
know-
one of the craziest things too, Dave, that and Coach, when you see it now too, is like even when these kids get their ass kicked or get smoked or some of that, they still aren't accepting of like, I'm not very good. To me, that is the most mind-blowing thing of all of it, right?
That's one of the things that I've really because I coach a couple of my son's teams, like in football and like I want to make sure that the parents understand, like, hey, if let's use basketball as an example. If you're on a basketball team, because everybody's on a basketball team or whatever, and your team practice is only 1 day a week, which is not enough. It drives me nuts that's what they accept as practice, by the way.
Enough.
I tell them, I'm like, listen, here's basketball, okay? Dribbling and shooting. Go dribble, go shoot, okay? We'll try and help you with the defensive part if you can't practice on your own. But that's what you have to do every day in order. And I could honestly tell you, until I actually told them that, because I do that with my kid, until I told the kids and the parents that on a text, that I really, honestly, they did not. I just don't think they really got it until I said, physically, you need to go and shoot and dribble, okay? Every day a little bit. Listen, if you can only dedicate 10 minutes, dedicate 10 minutes. And then the other thing that I thought is amazing, because I coach youth football now, and I coach a travel team, and for basketball. I'm amazed that nobody has practice plans. It drives me nuts. I have a practice plan every single day. Anytime I'm head coach or on the travel team, I'm an assistant. When he's not there and I'm in charge, I have a practice plan. I hand it out to the assistant coaches. Here's what we're gonna do today. Yeah,
That's a norm.
You know what I'm saying? People don't have practice plans. People don't have a plan. How can you expect your assistants and the kids to succeed and learn these things if you yourself is not prepared? And I think your point on the training stuff is really very valid. Like any guy who played a position or played is all of a sudden believes that they can train and coach guys, and like a lot of young guys. It's not that there aren't young guys that are very good. There are young guys that are good at it.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people don't understand that young guys think that them being able to do that, like me showing you a drill that I can do, means I can coach you. No, being able to communicate how you did that drill and getting them the nuances of doing it correctly so they can and helping them understand how to benefit from it and then repping it. That's coaching. But like,
yeah, and ironically, I mean, we were talking about Lamar before, but Lamar and Sylvester Wright, who are also guys who kind of pioneered the whole
they're
training thing, at
awesome.
least up
They're
here
awesome.
in North
Yeah, and
Jersey.
they're the good
watched
ones.
them. They're real. It's legit. And you're watching legit drills, and it's not cookie cut. I'll be up there with Sly, Sylvester Wright, and he'll have like certain drills for certain kids
Right.
who need to improve on XYZ, and I mean, you hit it on the money. But now, like I said, you have the cookie cut copycat, and that's where we're at. Right?
Yep, and that's
Lamar was awesome too.
Yeah, he was
awesome with the quarterbacks.
100%. And it's hard to sift through that, right? Because you just see this array of QB trainers. Dave, we were just having this conversation yesterday about how, certain, and Lamar was different in the fact, like, he was traveling, man, like South Jersey, Connecticut. I mean, but his stuff was the real stuff that translates into how to get better, how to do these things. There's just so many guys now that because they played Madden.
And what's funny about how I've watched them two guys operate? I've seen them turn kids down because they just know, like, this kid, he doesn't have that. Like, I don't want to waste that kid's time. I'm not just gonna take the money, and I've seen them where they've kind of like said, I'm gonna stay away from this one right here.
And then we have to be the bad guy, right? Because at some point when you tell that parent or you tell that kid, hey, you're not at the level that it takes to get this scholarship or to start at this place or to do these things, we're the bad guys because we're the ones that are actually honest rather than everybody else who's just been a yes man to them and told them what they wanted to hear and all these things. Now they get to some point where they got to really be told and reality sets in, and now we're the bad guy.
Well, I continue to try and push those conversations along because it's funny, to this day, like my Twitter's like inundated with kids sending me like highlight tapes all the time. And I have a program like where I help kids, but I was just in this discussion with a guy I played ball with at UConn who I do a podcast with. And he's like, how come, you didn't take this guy that I had sent you? I'm like, I can't. And especially in today's world where it is really hard to get recruited, because of the whole transfer portal thing. I say, I just can't take a guy on if I don't think that they're going to have a chance unless the parent agrees with me. And because I say to him, listen, here's the level that I think your son could play at, could fall here. Are we in agreement that he, maybe he's an FCS kid. I think he has the ability, but he may end up D3. And if he ends up D3, okay, this isn't Coach Schumann's an idiot type of thing. You know what I mean? Are we in agreement on this, that this could happen? If they say to me, yes, then I can work with them. If they say to me, well, I think they're adamant, like this is the level we want him at. I just tell them
Alabama or bust.
Yeah. If they tell me Alabama or bust, I say, listen, there are people you could go find that will tell you Alabama or bust. You probably go over there because the truth is, in the end,
$19.99 a month, Alabama. That's easy.
Oh my
God. It ain't wrong. You know what I mean? And with the way things are now, and I think guys don't understand, like, just because it doesn't say athletic scholarship doesn't mean you're not going to school for free, right? Because the Division III level, like, guys just see that title or parents see that and they don't understand that, like, that's still, you're still above majority of percentage of guys, that are willing to get to that next level.
How do you navigate that part with your kids, especially now because of the transfer part, which is obviously you've had a lot of really big time players, but you've had players go obviously to all levels, but it's even harder now because of the transfer portal. So less high school kids are getting offered at the highest level. How do you kind of navigate them through this process? Your kid.
Yeah, I mean that's been one of the new challenges now as well. The recruiting game has changed drastically. From what you're saying, as far as just getting these colleges to pay attention to a high school kid is hard enough. So I've already explained the trickle down effect to especially my players and to the parents, where they understand that uh, FBS football is becoming like NFL junior or baby NFL, where those guys are staying put and they're just playing musical chairs with each other, and that negates some spots for high school kids. We've talked to several schools that tell me straight up, we're signing 7 high school kids and we're going to go for 18 guys in the portal. So that's 18 high school kids that don't have a spot. Now you multiply that times 120 FBS, FCS schools, whatever you do the math, that's the musical chairs game that we're playing. Now, the difficult and challenging part is getting parents to understand that, because we live in a world of comparisons, right? So they're going to go to social media and they're going to find the 6 or 7 kids in North Jersey that got the big offer, and and the kid that's going to Ohio State, and the kid that's going to Michigan, etc. And they're gonna say, well, how come this kid was able to? My kid was good, or my kid had those numbers, et cetera, et cetera. And it's putting coaches in a bind where like, we have to be realistic with these kids. Um, and again, like I said, that's very challenging, and it's sad because I know back in my day I was told, if you work this hard you can achieve this, and that was concrete. And then now I don't know what to say. Like, work as hard as you can and we'll do the best we can as far as what level of college football you can get to. So for instance, this year we had Kareem Hector. He signed with Stony Brook. Kingston Evans is an Army West Point signing, 2 corners. And then we have another tier of kids that 10 years ago would have been FCS type kids, like Monmouth and your Stony Brooks and your Dell State. Like those, we have a nice tier of kids that would have probably dropped to that level. They're going Division 2. And then the kids that would have gone Division 2 are not going Division 3. So it's hard, and then it's harder to explain that to uneducated people on this matter. When I say uneducated, meaning uneducated as far as what's happening in the world of college football.
That's a great point. It is really, really difficult. And your point about you work, you do what you need to do, you have this certain level of ability, and you're able to go to a certain place. That is the hardest thing now, because
you can't promise anybody that anymore.
Because the truth is nobody really knows. Nobody, because this college over here, like West Point is a good example. They're not obviously taking transfer portal kids, right? They're taking high school kids. They're evaluating it the same way that they probably always have evaluated it. But Rutgers is not, right? So, and Notre Dame takes mostly high school kids, but they still took 13 transfers, right? So Notre Dame
quarterback.
They take them. Well, they took them in 2 key spots, I thought, which is interesting. They took kicker and quarterback, right? The 2 key spots that they feel that they needed, like, quote unquote, an ace in the hole there, right? So, and I think that's really, really difficult. I think you nailed it too. It's just continuing to let them know that, and not to get discouraged, hey, you got to take the opportunity that is available to you, because it's still an opportunity to go to college. Like that's
I think that's so far that people just that's something that's so like taken for granted and I don't know if it has to do with like everybody goes to college now, right? Because kind of that aspect of the whole thing. But like some of those like titles and whatnot and like Coach had uneducated people that don't really understand it, don't stay up on it. I mean, look, we have high school coaches that are right alongside of us that don't understand the whole process and how things are working today. If you're not constantly up on it and paying attention to it, you're going to be left in the wayside. And the other point, Dave, we've talked about this too, is the high school coach is almost removed from the recruiting process in some points now with social media and those things. These coaches can go directly to the kids, message them, have that conversation, and hey, coach, guess what? I signed with so-and-so, or I got this. And it's, wait, I haven't talked to anybody. Like, they don't even feel a need to talk to high school coaches anymore at some points. It's a difficult world to get in, and it's an imperfect science. You could do everything right, and it still doesn't work out. That's what makes it, very difficult.
I think the positive part of it is that the key is sports. Sports teaches you really important life lessons, and that's the thing that's key. Like the kids that play for you, the beauty of the Wing-T is that it teaches you you're going to have success because you're willing to grind every play to be good. And in life, that's kind of what's going to take sports out of the mix. That's what's going to happen. If you want to be successful, you're going to have to be willing to grind and be able to put yourself out there and work hard to be able to make it happen. And it's not about whether you're going to do that against college. I tell this to the parents that I'm friends with, that coach me and stuff. And I tell them this all the time. You're going to spend more money on travel clubs, a trainer, all this kind of stuff. If you just never did any of that and saved that for college, if you added it all, but you would have your kids' college tuition, at least for 1 year. I know it's so expensive now, but at least for 1 year, all the money you spend on all the clubs, all the stuff from the time they're young kids. So there's no point in getting worried about this or that because you just threw all that money out the door anyway.
100%.
From what you're going to spend for all these different teams and stuff you play on. So
that's for sure.
It was great having you on, Coach. Great talking to you. You're the best.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate
Always good to talk to you, Coach.
Stay in touch. Have a good rest of your day, and let's keep in touch.
Absolutely. We'll do, Coach. See you later.
Thank you, guys.
Take care, Coach. Thanks, buddy.
That was great. Great.
Always good talking to him.
Oh, yeah. Always great talking to him.
Different perspective, right? I mean, if people did any of the research on Union City itself, like I know I brought it up earlier, but like to wear those two hats, and I'm glad you brought that up too as well. He's in a position that's, within a school building, like he's the least liked human in that school in terms of a disciplinarian administrator. You know what I'm saying? To hold kids accountable and those types of things in this day and age is extremely difficult. And then, like you said, at the end of the day, takes that hat off, and now he's the head football coach. And at a Group 5 school here in Jersey, I'm sure you could look up the statistics of how many kids go to that school. It's easily over 2,000. And look, it's Hudson County. It's not exactly, you know what I mean? Like he said, inner city kids. I mean, that's a tough. Those are two really, really difficult jobs, and to be good at them and to do things at a high level like Coach has for a good amount of time now. I mean, it's just awesome. I always love talking to him, having conversations because it's all that align. Everything is in a line with him and in terms of his program and how he does things. And look, kudos to whether it was playing at Hoboken for a legendary head coach, whether it was going to the University of Miami and being that guy as a fullback blocking for Edgerrin James, like whenever he took a little bit of something from everywhere and has now implemented it. And it's just shown that, you can get success in that doing things that way. And it's not the norm, right? Like it is not the norm.
No, it's really it's
how many programs threw not 70 times this year?
Well, I think what's interesting too is the fact that he's an administrator, right? And he's in a good position. He's been around a long time. He's tenured, and he's able to kind of do things the way that he sees best, which is actually very helpful to helping your program succeed. Let's look at another person that's in that same situation. done, right? He's been around a really, really long time. He's able to do things as he sees fit for the most part, right? And helps them to be able to succeed. You know, it is a lot harder on younger coaches now too, because they don't have security in the industry, right? They haven't been around long enough that they can speak how they want to speak, coach them up the way. So I do understand, you know, like they're in this well, they've already been cultured on it. They're cultured on that, you know,
it's
you
hard.
got to behave a certain way. And it's hard. It's hardest in football. I'm sure.
Of course.
I'm sure basketball is number 2, right? But football it's hardest because it's the most amount of people that you have to get moving in the right direction, and that's hard. Like and we
talk about that too. Football, like, you know, football defines schools, right? Like a lot of times the first question somebody asks about a high school is, well, how's their football team?
Absolutely. And it's a thing where the football players and football coaches are in a unique environment where their sport, which relies on the school solely, more than any other sport, right? By far, football relies on the school more than any other sport for its success, because you have to, you know, how are you going to assemble 50 kids outside of a scholastic environment with any consistency? I'm not saying you can't do it. You can. People do it in youth. I see it all the time. But with consistency,
correct,
the school is the best place for that. And football fits uniquely in the scholastic system, more so than any sport. I would say, you know, there really is very few other sports where the school football relies on the school. You know, basketball, yes, it's most enjoyable within the school, I think. But as far as, obviously, you can go and grab 8 players or 10 players and form a basketball team pretty easily, right? As far as AU,
of course.
And I think scholastic basketball is unique in how cool it is, because you're playing with your friends. Probably similar with baseball, but the same thing in baseball. You can go and grab 15 kids or 12 kids and
put together a team. Like, let's go.
But football, it's hard, and you could probably have some level of consistency because it doesn't require that many people. But football requires
you got to get it all moving in the same direction, and it's a lot of humans.
It's a lot, and it requires a lot of expertise. I thought, you know, I didn't even touch on this, but his point about people coaching that don't know what they're doing is a huge problem. It is a huge problem. And the truth, this is the truth to me. The truth is, there's so many kids playing sports. There's absolutely no way at the youngest level, and even in high school now, because every high school has programs, that you could find enough guys that do know what they're doing in each sport. It really is impossible. So it's easy to go and say that coach stinks, right? But the truth is, there aren't enough people just willing to do it, right?
Well, that's the other part too. Like, it's a unique thing where, like, time, you know, it's not a monetary gain unless you're at the highest levels. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times you're working for free, and when anything's for free, is somebody really going to put into it what is deserving of it, or what needs to be done to be good? Just the whole passion aspect of it. Like, when it comes to this sport itself, like I said, just you're practicing more than you're playing games. Like, that's the whole thing in itself, right? Like, there's no immediate, you know, type of reward that comes from this game. And then the whole trust the process and work towards something that's so far down the road that's hard to really see unless you've done it and been in it. Like, people just don't want to be a part about that. They get burnt out. They're this or that. It's just, it's not something that's, you know, that it's just different.
It's different. And sports in general are affected by it too. And that's why when people are like, you know, why do people play it like a soccer club? And, you know, well, soccer clubs in general hire a training organization to run their teams, right? And that's what makes it cost so much money. But that's also what gives them a level of consistency. They know they go hire this group that trains soccer, and there's like 30 of them on their staff, and they run the club for you, right? And so that's very, very I mean, soccer is uniquely figured this out. I guess probably in Europe is where they figured it out.
Of course. It's an international thing.
Right. They uniquely figured out, like, how do we get people to play as a team, and how do we get them to be consistent? Because in Europe, there is no school thing. It's all club related. And that's how they figured it out. They basically pay coaches.
It's not, and that's different, right?
Like, they pay coaches. Different.
Look, we were talking about this yesterday. We talked about the other day. We were talking about how the United States is uniquely different in that your school is your team, whereas abroad, that's not the thing. Club teams are basically your high school, whatever type of, So the amount of parameters on things and rules and all these other kind of stuff, like if you're just not aligned and you're not willing to be all in, and I posted something about that the other day, like if you just don't love this isn't for you.
That's the other part about sports too, is that in general, town-run rec sports is gone. Okay, almost gone.
And you're seeing it.
So with that was where any kid could go, didn't have to have any pressure. They could, stinky kids, great kids, in between. They could all play. Blah 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 blah. Okay, that kind of went away. Now you have travel teams with kids that really aren't as talented, and you're trying to figure out how to work these things. And you think you're on a travel team, but you're really not on a travel team. You're on a glorified rec team, but there is no more rec, right? So parents get false understandings of where their kids are.
Everybody's been telling them they're good.
Right. Or you get like, hey, I'm on this team and this is the best team, but this kid doesn't really belong there. And they don't realize that, like, it's not explained. It should be explained.
And I think that it comes down to that.
Together. We just, even though we're the top travel team and we have 2 superstars on our team, which are great, the other kids we want all our friends on here, and we're relying on these 2 superstars.
And why is that? Because we know we got to go away for a weekend, and we got to be around other people that we want to be around, people we know, people we're friends with, because nobody wants to embrace discomfort in any way, shape, or form anymore, and it's a fucking epidemic. Like, sometimes things are just going to suck, dude. Like, I'm sorry, that's life. To me, there's no other way to put it. Sometimes things are going to be uncomfortable. You're going to have to be in situations where you don't want to be, or talk to somebody who you might not want to be around. But that's how you grow, and that's where you really see the joy in certain things, because not everything is meant to be hunky-dory, happy, hoo-ha, dude. Like, that's just not how it is. And people want to get as close to that level of protective bubble type of situation where everything is great. Like, it's just not how it works. So, and it trickles down, and it's unfortunate that, that's the society we're living in. And I hate to be that person or that coach that's always referencing, oh, when I was, or when this, or when that, and like this. But there are certain things that I will stand on forever and ever. And that's part of it.
The golden age of sports, okay, to me, all right, where the talent level equals, like, aligned with, like, everybody getting opportunity, aligned with a culture where people were for the team, probably was the mid-90s, I would say, to the early 2000s, like
2005, 6. Like exactly. Like when I left high school was when it started to change.
Right. Everybody from like probably around when I graduated high school, to when you graduated high school, maybe a couple of years after that, but
I think it was more like college when I was leaving college. So like 07, 08, somewhere around there is where it really, when it was like, whoa.
That was like a 15, 20 year run that was golden for sports in the sense that, people would want the best players, regardless of race, color, creed. Like they wanted the best players on their team. People were getting opportunities. You still had fundamental values applied, right? Fundamental values still applied, and that did start to change. Like it was really beginning to change when I actually got when I was still an assistant, but I got like my first, around the time I was getting my first head coaching job. I was surprised. I was not ready for that. Okay.
Right.
I was certainly not ready because obviously, I went to college. I went to grad school. I went to business. Okay. So by the time I came back to high school, I had not really understood the stuff that was starting to go on, but it didn't really kick out until about when you were in college or right after. Really,
right.
That's really kind of started to snowball at that point. It was having
100%.
But that
like when my first season coaching 2009, you could already start to see how certain things were trending in a certain direction, right? That's kind of when the whole participation and inclusion and everybody can play and all those kind of things. We didn't want anybody to feel like an outcast type of thing. And I always thought that was what was great about sports was it separated people. And this is one of the things that I've heard a lot of coaches, like a lot of the guys that I really look up to in the coaching world have said before. It's like, look, at the end of the day, not a lot of and whether it's specific to football or sports in general, like some people just aren't meant to be athletic and football players or sports people. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Right? Go be great in whatever you're going to be great in, but don't feel like you have to do something just because it's what you see on TV or it's whatever. Like you can have these other dreams and things like that to go and do things elsewhere and be really, really good at it. Nobody cares if you rush for 1,000 yards and scored 24 touchdowns in high school. Like not everybody has to do that. It's just that's what I feel like everybody has seen or sees in social media in this world now. So they feel like that's what I need to do. Right.
And I think that's, and the nice thing about now is that everybody can play sports. I get it. It's good.
You want people to join things and be on a team and exercise and do things to better their body and learn certain things like that. But there are other ways to do that as well, right? Like
I think that I don't know what the answer is, but
I don't know if there is one.
I don't know if there is one, but I feel like there is everybody knows something about what's going on in the sports world because everybody watches sports and everybody plays now, which I could tell you I went to school.
Wasn't like that.
I went to school with kids. I could honestly tell you who are great kids who were actually they look like they might be athletic, but they did not play sports. Like it was not like they would tell you, dude, like, I stay in shape, but I don't want to play
there
sports.
Were kids that
they went to the gym. I'm telling you, they were in shape.
100%. And they could go and they could bench whatever and they could be this strong, but they sucked at football.
And they didn't care.
And it was like, dude, we're good. Or look, there was also, and I think this is another part that I have the big piece of this puzzle that I think factors into it is just gym class. Phys ed in general is nothing like it was. Like now
it used to be great.
Hey, you have let me come on in, change your clothes. Okay, I'm going to take attendance. All right, you have the option of you can go basketball, ping pong, volleyball, go pick what you want to do, and I'll see you in 90 minutes. Like, what the f is that, dude? Like, that's you. Some people don't like to sit through English class, right? But you still got to read the books and answer the questions and take the test. Phys ed structure within education in the United States, to me, is a catastrophe.
You nailed it, dude. You nailed it.
Like, that's where you start to weed out. Like, I'm a sports guy. I'm not a sports guy. I'm a little bit of a sports person.
Well, you know what
I'm saying?
Went to? Because I was doing my student teaching, and I was like, I can't. I'm not going to.
Yeah, you're.
So I did my student teaching for gym, right? I was getting my master's in phys ed, okay, and I was at Columbia, and Columbia was at the forefront of this whole like don't compete thing. Because I remember I'd sit in class.
We actually used to divide gym class up, and we did it on our own as students. We would call it like AP gym, right? Okay, if you wanted to come in here and actually sweat and compete and like play a real sport during gym class, you go over here and we're going to do this. The rest of you guys that just want to like just be here, change and take us an 80. Okay. You go over there. Right. Like, cause there were people in gym that like, hey guys, like, and it didn't have to be like sports people, but they still wanted a little bit of competition to like get some physical stuff and do it. Right. It's gone. Now, like your best athletes in gym class are like, all right, I'm chilling. I got practice today.
When I was in my master's program for phys ed, this is what Columbia was preaching.
It's crazy.
You got to hear this because this was interesting. They were preaching fitness only. Okay, no competition. Okay. And mental, basically, the only way I could put it is like a version of mental empowerment, meaning,
of course,
I'm like, and I would sit there and believe me, I was obviously Columbia's this radically leftist school, and I'm this meathead football player, and whose father is a phys ed teacher for 50 years, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm like, I don't understand.
Well, it's hard for guys like us to understand that.
And they were like, no, we want you to teach it. So when I did my student teaching at Ridgewood, okay. And they put me and they put Ridgewood's program was very much about like physical fitness, and it was a great. I will give it was a great program, but my whole thought process was this will work really well at Ridgewood, okay? Because Ridgewood is wealthy kids, the parents have means. They will understand physical fitness and how important it might be. They might buy the fact that you didn't have too much competition in gym and all that kind of stuff. They might buy into it, right?
Right.
This is not going to work at Saddlebrook High School. This is not going to work at Butler High School. You need to have options, okay? Meaning, okay, group for fitness. This sign up for fitness. Great. This group over here wants to play, for lack of a better word, dodgeball, right? Great. Those kids are a different kind of kid. This kid over, and Saddlebrook used to do that when I was in my father's phys ed program, the guys that ran it. We used to have those choices and those options, and people could go where they fit in, right? Like I wanted to compete in gym. Like I wanted to play speedball, where you basically, it's like handball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wanted to play handball, dude. I like firing that ball.
Felt good.
You know? But there are kids that really just wanted to walk around the track. Great.
That's fine.
That's what you should have. But they tried to make it this one thing where everybody has to be included. So now the jocks are walking around the track, okay? And you know what happens when the jocks are walking around the track? They see the hot girl. They pony up to her, right? They're kicking it to her, and that's what ends up happening as they're walking around the track. And now as the teacher, you're monitoring, this guy over here trying to kick it to that girl over here. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Instead of putting them into places where they'll be interested. So the girls might want to walk the track. Great. Let the girls walk the track.
Go do it.
Let the boys go play flag football or handball or whatever. You know what I mean? And those things, and there might be a girl that wants to play that. Great. She can go do those things. Or it might be a boy that wants to walk the track. Great. Let them do that. But we don't want to allow these multiple things. And it's all about, to me, it's like we don't want to get sued. We don't want
what it comes down to.
The jock holding a handball, a volleyball in his hand. All right, now they use the softball, so they don't even use, the super soft foam balls. The foam,
not even getting into dodgeball,
right? Throwing and accidentally pasting some girl who's standing over there, right?
Yep.
And that's what they're worried about, and so that's killed. That has killed phys ed. It's
crushed it.
And now the jocks don't want to take phys ed. Ask
None.
Troy if he likes phys ed. He doesn't.
Yeah, he probably says it sucks.
He doesn't even like phys ed, dude. This is a kid who would love phys ed.
And who plays sports on the regular. Like,
He
that's
should
his
love
life.
phys ed. How does he? I say, do you do push-ups and sit-ups in phys ed? No. Squat thrusts in phys ed? No. I don't know. Do you guys have the gym dollies where you do races with the gym dolly? Remember those? Gym dollies? I used to love the gym dollies.
The little scooters.
The scooter, yeah, the little scooters. You know why they got rid of those, right? Because somebody
ran over their finger.
Somebody ran over a finger or ran into the wall. Okay? The gym dollies were the
Which is like, hey, you're not supposed to run into the wall. Don't do it. And then when you got your finger run over, you didn't do it again.
It's like they got rid of.
I know.
The gym
we could
dollies.
we could sit here for hours and go through it.
I love the gym dollies are great. When he would bring out
parachute, dude, parachute.
I'd be like this, woo,
crushing it, dude.
I was like a damn monkey moving down.
Didn't give two shits about sweating your ass off for the whole first 10 minutes of the next blocker period. Like, damn, because you were jacked up about it.
Remember that kickball, basketball?
I used to love handball.
Handball
right?
was great.
Used to love when and it was, I don't know if it was, this isn't at certain places or whatever, but they would close the gym off and we had one of the hard doors. We had that and it was phenomenal because then we would play racquetball, right? Like things that you didn't have access to do, like that you could do on the regular, which, kids don't even do that anymore, right? Like I had a whole conversation yesterday with my players about wall ball. I'm like, you guys ever play wall ball? Like, the kids who went to camp in the summer played wall ball. The kids who had never done that, they had no idea what we were talking about. And I'm like, yeah, man, they're like, yeah, I used to love pegging people. Like, that's just not something, right? Like when you're pegging people with a tennis ball. Like, that's not, because nobody can get hurt. Nobody wants to do this. Nobody wants to do that.
You can't play peg.
You can't do dodgeball. You can't do any of that. Recess in elementary school, you would have like 3 sorry saps that would go sit in the goal, and you would kick balls for an hour and a half, whatever it was, and you would just fire kickballs at these dudes. That's what we would do. Like, and it's just not like that anymore.
No, it's that part is like I can't even fathom. The one thing I do like about my kids' school, the cat, like they actually let them, if they want to play wall ball, as long as it's not peg, they can play wall ball.
That's okay, and that's fine. We'll tweak it. We'll do whatever just to get it
They could play two-hand touch football, which is cool too.
And that was also part of it too, like knowing how far you could push that envelope without getting in trouble. Like,
there is no. I remember, I don't know if you had this by the time you're in recess, but we really used to have. We used to play Kill the Man, which was the greatest. I love Kill the Man, but you can't play that anymore. Where you basically the ball would be in the middle, someone grab it and run, you tackle them. You can't do that anymore. Like we used to do that at recess all the time. You can't do that. That's a lawsuit, like
all of it is.
Yeah. So those things are no longer. And it's funny because people are like, oh, I'm like, well, I can tell you this. There are things. Look, there are things that did I like if I got pegged? No, I did not like it. I did not like it. So I would say that
get better so you don't get pegged, right? You know what I mean? Right. Like so you don't get you're not in that position.
Yeah, listen, they wouldn't even understand today. No. If back when I was in school, people would play peg. Although I didn't always get to school super early, but there's some, like they'd be playing peg, and if I got there early, I would play. And But the rule was like, obviously, if you dropped it, you have to run to the wall. And if you smacked at the ball instead of trying to avoid it, you had to sit. It could peg you while you were standing against the wall, which they probably didn't even allow by the time you were there. So someone would get a free peg. You'd be standing there, they throw 100 miles an hour. Like, you learn certain things pretty quick. Number one, do not drop the fucking ball. Like, when that ball came at me off the wall, you're damn right I was catching that damn thing. You know what I mean? Like, and you know what? If I missed it and I was running to the wall, like, if they pegged me, they pegged me. Like, I just had to deal with it. You know, like the rule was couldn't hit anybody in the head. That was it. Like
100%.
And that I'll tell you,
different world, man.
It's a different world. And there are things that are good about it that they've changed. You know, like, listen, the red dodgeballs, I love them, but I could only imagine the poor kid who could not catch it, right? So someone who, like you have a cannon, you throw the ball, and some kid who really didn't play sports was standing there and dodgeball. So
always, you wanted to get the weak ones out first, though. That was part of it.
Right. But you couldn't use the.
There was a method to the madness.
I mean, do you see the ball? Like, if you see the ball they use now,
dude, it's like foam. It's
foam,
like a dog toy.
It's foam, so it's great. It's safe. It makes dodgeball safe. I'm all for that. That's fine, but
just different, man.
Well, I'm telling you, like, your catching skills. Well, people are like, why is it take so much longer for kids to learn how to catch? You know, you didn't have to go to a trainer because you played dodgeball. You didn't have to go to trainer because you played.
No one needed to tell me to do these things. And if I wanted to know it, I asked the coach and he said, do this, and that's what you did.
But now, listen, the trainers, and there's great value to good trainers are tremendously valuable.
Right, and Coach touched on that. Rest in peace, Coach Lamar, good trainer, right? The other guy he has, DB coach, phenomenal, like one-on-one trainer. Yep. You know trainers are good when they say no to people.
Yep. It's the kind of deal that
everybody goes to this guy. Like, what does that mean? That means that guy's making a lot of good money. That's that. Now track it. How many of those guys that went to this guy got what they wanted to, or are playing at this level, or those types of things? Quality over quantity. We always talk about it. So,
all right, let's.
It's cool though. What's awesome is too, like we touched on Wing-T this week. Next week we'll have Coach Sadlock on.
He's gonna break it down, right?
Wing-T, and he's gonna go through an entire, belly series with us and touch on with clips and everything, so we can really kind of break it down. So that was actually, why I wanted to make that switch to have Coach on today, because I knew we would touch on it leading into next week. So we're rolling.
I look forward to that. Wing-T blocking is hands down the best.
I can't wait to hear him, because they got a Wing-T clinic tomorrow at Collingswood High School, second one of the year. So they're all in, and Coach Sadlock he's gospel for it. So let's go.
All right, cool. All right, we'll see it. We'll till tomorrow.
All right, man. Monday. I think Tuesday. He'll be on Tuesday. Coach Sadlock's coming on Tuesday.
Perfect.
All right.